we're in second week of our kill season, and man, it has been wide open. My old body's getting tired after today. I'm really tired and sore. So tomorrow is probably going to be a slack day. So anyway, I've got my buddies down from New York. You've heard them both on the podcast before. So I got Uncle Bob Melville on with the black and tans. And Jeremy's on with us. We call him Bugs. So if you hear saying Bugs, that's who we're talking about. And Jeremy was on with the Bavarian Hound and talked about the deer tracking. So we're going to kind of recap a little bit with his dog. We're going to talk about Bob's training season, and we just finished our third day hunting here, and I think they're headed back north tomorrow. So we're going to recap that. So you guys sit back and enjoy. So Bob, tell us, how did your season go? I know that you've switched some dogs around from when I was up there last year. I didn't come up this year because I was in Maine, so it's been almost 2 years. Yeah, I was up last year, not this year, but I was up last year.
You were up here last year.
Yeah. So, what do you got? What dogs do you still have?
I just still have 4 tracked down black and tans. They're crossed up with some Batman
dog.
Yeah.
And what I know you still have Sawyer, the old dog.
Sawyer, the old dog.
And then what else you looking at?
I got a son out of him, and I have a granddaughter out of him, which is that smoke dog. And then I bought a pair of puppies from a fella out in Wisconsin that are bred out of Uncle Buck. He was supposed to be he's a track down dog, but they're only puppies, so we won't know nothing until.
Oh, so you have them at home?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't know
one's out here, one's home.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the one you left today. Yeah. Well, and I know that Sawyer got hurt a couple times during your running season, and like what you just hunted.
Yeah. Well, first, pretty quick on our training season, we got those 2 big boars that just hog everything. So they went in there and, with the 2. I don't know if the puppy was there, but the 2 sons of his went in there. All 3 of them went in there, and of course, he got too close and got busted up, broken
scapula, right?
Well, that was a
Shoulder
fractured
blade.
shoulder blade and one of the vertebrae. So it took me the whole season to get him better, and then we went to Maine, and on a 3rd day of Maine, he got his ribs caved in.
Ooh.
So he's basically, he can start at old track or whatever, but I don't really think he's no way he'll be able to keep up with any of these young dogs now.
Right.
And he's also 9 years old.
No, so back up a second. I'm lost. So you had 2 dogs with you today.
Right.
The smoke dog
is the granddaughter out of that Sawyer dog.
Yep.
And that Moses is the son out of that dog.
And you said there was a brother to Moses. Is there a brother to Moses?
Loner, and that belongs to Sean.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. I'm tracking now. I've got you.
Mm-hmm.
And how did Sean's dog do?
Sean's dog did really well this year. In Maine, it was a lot of, that's why we went there, because we knew the environment was going to be totally of nothing like them dogs were used to.
Uh-huh.
And we seen 4 bears. We just couldn't make it happen. We don't know the country, and we're kind of so new to us. The whole hunt environment up there, where they have it with roads, and they got to cut them off and get them across the road. Them trees aren't big enough for them there to climb where we were.
Yeah, so they're just catching them.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're bringing. We won't talk about it right this second, but I think you bring that with you. You bring those bear on the ground.
I like to leave at home.
Yeah, you go. When you come back next year, you got to leave that little juju with you. Leave that hoodoo with you. Like, we don't need that.
Yeah.
So, and then the pup. Like, Johnny had pups last year. Do you have one of them?
That's that smoke dog.
Smoke. Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And that's out of the same guy that bred, the same female that bred Maramoli's Uncle Buck too.
Okay.
Yeah, so we keep that line.
But y'all got them from? Is that who you got them from?
No, Tom Kohler out of Wisconsin. Super nice guy.
Gotcha. Are you satisfied? I mean, I know you know over the years, And you guys listen to the podcast I did with Anthony, and Anthony's how I hooked up with Bob. And of course, when you started, you went in. You liked Belle and Clyde.
Yeah, we had the Cameron dogs.
Yeah, you started with Cameron dogs, and then we started. I kind of give y'all guys a little background. We started breeding the high lonesome stuff into it, and I was not a fan. It was not the same, was it?
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a Cameron dog, and I ain't picking on them, but I've never seen another Cameron dog that matched up to Clyde or Belle, especially Belle. You know, they were both good, but I think Belle was probably a little bit better all around. And then that time we was in the Sterling, you had a young Walker pup. I don't remember which one it was, but she was young, like 5, 6, maybe 6 months old. And I don't know if you remember when we treated them 2 great big bears. They were like maybe. And I remember her drifting that tract and just smoked past Clyde.
And it was a female?
Well, that's 20-some years ago.
It wasn't Ring.
No, because Ring was already up.
Yeah, Ring would have been. No, Bob. I don't know. I don't know what dog that would have been.
Well, that's when I said I need to. And then Rodney had told me, if you want to catch bears, you got to have some kind of walker in your dog.
Oh, don't say that out loud. We'll be shunned off the podcast.
Well,
yeah, but no, and then we went and I give you a couple walker dogs, and you ended up buying a couple, made nice dogs.
Yeah.
That's kind of what got you were catching some bear then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how do you? And the reason I asked this, so with the group that you have now, where are they at, and how do you like them as well? Do you like them better? Do you not like them as much? Where are you at with them?
I do like them for a lot of reasons. Like, they're nicer to be around in the yard. They're not so high strung. They mind a little bit better. Like, you can let them run around, clean kennels, do it out, and just holler, they'll come. Where some of them other dogs, like that Pete was a good dog. He would, and Abby. But the other ones I had, you couldn't get away with that. Not that they were bad dogs. They were just different. But they just need more work. It's hard. Like, I try to go to Maine, and then I come down here. This environment's much the same as mine.
Yep, I think
actually
that too.
even nicer. I think it's just you don't have so much rocks, the sharp rocks for the feet and the ledges. But and the thing is, there's only 3 to 4 dogs that are hunting together. So they don't, and they're kind of independent. And I don't know where that's coming from. If it's just environment or if it's in their blood, but that's what hurts me a little bit. Like in Maine, they wouldn't pack. They hunt together, but they won't pack.
Well, and the way you hunt, like, you're not relying on anybody else. They're either doing it or they're not.
Right.
And I think that's probably a little bit of that. Maybe it's not even genetics.
Environment.
It would be the environment. And then now, and like today,
He finally went.
he went today. Did he go Tuesday? Or did you have him on
No,
leave?
remember he went up by himself.
Tuesday?
He went down over the bank, and then he ended up with him, but he kind of went right-handed.
Oh,
But
yeah.
on Tuesday, he did go in with them dogs. And when me and Wesley got in close, he came out.
It was a lot of dogs.
And I think he just
overwhelmed.
I think he was overwhelmed from what I could tell. Because even when I brought him, we were within 50 yards, and I brought him back. He was a little.
He was like, "What the world is all this in here?" Like,
but he was a quick learner, so.
Yeah. Well, and today we had a little less dogs.
Yeah, that was quite a pile of dogs
like
yesterday.
we only had five with us today, or 5 on it today. Yeah. So, and Bob, I think about this a lot because I'm getting older too, and I like a dog that's calm and just don't have that, antsiness about them. That's a good word, antsy. They're kind of like a horse sitting there pacing, like they gotta go. Which in the police world, I get that a lot because you got to have those souped up dogs to do what we need them to do.
And you kind of need them in big country to catch.
Yeah.
It's a double. Like I think we talked on the first podcast. It's a double-edged sword. You got to have a little bit of that.
And I've got one dog that literally drives me nuts in the pen. Like, drives me nuts because if he gets bored, he starts being destructive, and it reminds me of a Mally. Like, he reminds me of that. You get him out, you let him run around the yard a couple days, and he's fine. But I don't like it.
Well, I've been thinking about that a lot for the last couple of years because it's getting harder and harder time-wise or whatever to keep them dogs from doing that. That's why I need to come up with a certain kind of like exercise machine. So like 3 days a week, you can go out there, even if for 15 or 20 minutes, half hour, it takes that out of them. And then they're not so loud in the kennel anymore. They stop that pacing.
Yep. I mean, if you keep them busy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. You've got to keep them busy so they're not being rambunctious and they're not being, you got to keep that edge off of them.
It's like a hyperactive little boy. You need to keep them playing and roughing housing.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I like my dogs to be laid back, more so, and I still don't have all that because, each dog's different. Mm-hmm. They're individually different. But I like them to be laid back and quiet, and then when it's time to go to work, let's go to work. And I've got a handful, not all, but I got a handful of them. So, yeah, I get that.
And them dogs basically hunted the 2 litter mates and that puppy. Now, she just turned a year old in July. So in the first part of training season, she was, hit and miss. But towards the end, she started to, running her own track. I'm not saying she treated or anything, but she was running. And then the 2 male dogs were treeing bears by themselves. And so I was pretty pleased there. They need this kind of environment and another environment to make them a whole dog, Mm-hmm. And the jury's still out. I mean, they may peak out where they are too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So are you satisfied with their trailing? I mean, I didn't get to see that because the way things happened this week. But
well, I actually am because traditionally where I hunt, it's they don't have to grub nothing up. Mm-hmm. They're running off. Our training season, there's bears there waiting for us. Mm-hmm. So when we went to Maine, I know Sawyer, the father, he's noted for being a cold nose, get a track up going. Mm-hmm. And we put him down on the first day, and he went in with his father and went around and around, and he got the track up and going, and he's never run a track that old. Mm-hmm. And it took him a while, but he got up and pushed that big old sow and 2 cub yearlings out, and then Loner and the other dog come and pushed it out across the road. We dumped them, we packed them when they got across the other road. But so I was pretty pleased with that. Like some of the other dogs I've had, they're so used to that running off a bait that they don't settle down. I'm not saying they can't do it. They just never settle down enough, and it's my fault because I don't put them in a cold track environment. Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that before. Like with the amount of bear right now, you don't necessarily need it, but the last couple of days that we've been out, I miss my trail dog.
Weather for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've walked over some tracks that my old dogs would have took.
For sure.
And I'm, it kind of gets under my skin a little bit. I'm like, oh.
There's 3 of them that I know that took it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I still want that trail, and I'm not saying that the dogs don't, because our dog. I mean, today. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, but I miss my trail dogs.
Well, I don't know. I think you had one today, right? Your 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And that track was I don't know, 2 days. I don't want to exaggerate, but
I don't know. It was
frozen.
It was frozen.
Yeah.
It was frozen yesterday. I'll bet you.
Yeah. So it was a day old at least. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they never said a word. They took off. We watched them. They was together, and they topped over the mountain. And I was like, they're not moving. They're not showing tree. They're not moving. And we stood there and we walked back, and it'd been like 15 minutes. And I'm like, they're in a hole. Mm-hmm. Like they're in a hole. And then we pulled up, and so kind of getting off there. But yeah, I'm with you. I like I said, I like the calmer dog. I want that more so now. And I don't have the dogs that I had back then. Like I'm still catching bear, but there's more bear. I don't have the same style of dog now that I had.
And I don't know. That's kind of why I thought about going back to the black and tans, because I wanted that more old style dog. Because when I first got back in this time, I really couldn't find what I wanted. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, because everything is just so competition bred. Mm-hmm. And I don't know much about them dogs, so I'm not going to, but I don't think that's what we need. Because, everywhere I go, I got to walk.
That's right. I don't like to go yonder. And mine, I mean, just like Kate, I mean, she hunts way wider than I prefer. She gets out there at 600-700 yards. I'm like, hey, you need to get back in because I can't hear you that far. I can't hear.
Right.
in the mountains that we're in.
Right.
Yeah. So, and so I mean, they caught several bear. I mean, you sent me several videos of those. You had 2 dogs on a couple bear.
Yeah, I was 19 days. We caught 15 bears, and that's what I mean. Where you could walk up and take pictures of them. Not we were on when we seen it. I don't count them. The problem is I got 2 big boars there that are putting a whooping on. And the old dog got beat up twice this summer, and then Moses got beat up on that big one. Then he ended up training another one, but he got his ribs all raked in. The year before, he got his hock bit. They bit him through the hock, and I don't know how long they're going to put up with that until they start getting either smart or scared, one or the other.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Like I said,
a little bit of grit goes a long ways in my book.
Yeah. Just stay.
I don't want them.
Just stay.
I don't want them vet bills.
No.
And then you lose a month if
Yeah.
you're lucky, if not dead.
Yeah. Or you could be like Wesley and just hunt all females, and they're all in heat right now, and he's missing hunting season because they're all in heat. You got to get some backup there, buddy. What about you, Bugs? I know I seen you. Maybe you snapped me a couple videos and you hunted. I mean, how do you think the season went?
It was good. Something that Uncle Bob didn't really mention is when them boars were in the beginning of the season, they kind of left a few weeks in. And there were some notable trees in that beginning of the year where we would be looking at the cameras, and it was quite a bit of time since there was any sort of bear that we ended up treeing to that size. We would get that big boar on there at what it would be 4 a.m, and then we would run up and tree a 150-pound sow out of.
And there wasn't many of them though, dude. Not like when you used to come. Remember? And I don't know.
So I don't know what, if they got to the bait and just kind of those sows are kind of staging somewhere
staying
close.
Away. They're staying off the boars.
And they kind of figured that game out a little bit and went out farther. And
I don't know.
But
so you were turning loose on the big bear and catching the smaller ones,
and a lot of times you wouldn't even see them on the camera.
Yeah.
Like Bug said, they're not. You would go there and they just hog the bait and they lay there and go to sleep.
Right.
So, I think when they do finally leave, then the lesser bears come in.
I mean, they're not far. They can't be far. You would think.
Right.
Yeah.
But there wasn't the bears we traditionally have, and I don't know if it's because of those 2 guys or just some other reason I don't understand. But I didn't see any little cubs, which is
Well, last year we did treat. Right, we treat them right there in that flat.
yeah. Well, not this year.
Yeah.
It was definitely a different
It was totally.
season.
And after 20 years, I've never. This is definitely different.
And like the neck of the woods I hunt, I had no acorns.
Yeah, it was no food.
The only thing we saw when we were hiking around were there was some good blueberry patches, but I wouldn't think to.
That's short-lived.
It was like to take bears away from the bait. But
Oh yeah, that will. But only for like a week or so, and then they're gone.
So
So Bugs, I know. Let's just talk about it's Ruger, right?
Hubertus.
Hubertus, yeah. I can never remember that. Let's just talk about him real quick. I know you come down last year and stayed, and you went to Alabama,
Arkansas
to try to get him certified.
Yep.
Won't you kind of go over that real quick? What happened? Where you're at? And guys, just make sure everybody's on the same page. We're talking about his Bavarian Hound, which he does blood tracking, and you actually went down with Ken.
Yeah.
Right.
So after the podcast, I actually wasn't 100% aware how active the club was here in America. So after your interview with Ken, I actually ended up joining the club.
Nice.
So once I found out about that, it was kind of nose to the grindstone, getting some. That test is it's not just about the dog's ability to track. There's a lot of obedience stuff that goes along with it. So I kind of, things that I didn't realize that the club wants, I needed to kind of bum rush to train him. And honestly, I was going down to Arkansas pretty confident. But what I originally thought was the end of that last season, the dog ended up kind of sort of getting away from me, and I thought got a little beat up he bayed up a doe, and I thought he got beat up a little bit. Was lame, and, you know, didn't seem like we went through the winter and he seemed okay. Mm-hmm. So through the winter, he got a little more, like towards the spring when I'm about to go to that test, I noticed he was definitely tight again. Well, I went down to the test, and we kind of had catastrophic failure. He pretty much I never seen him do anything close to it, just hips pretty much gave out on the test. And we were off to a good start. I knew he was tight. I could tell. It was hot. It was 80 degrees. We just got done with the New York winter. He had his winter coat on. And not what I was expecting. And it kind of turned into a wormhole of going to the vets. It started out with a local vet when I was in Arkansas.
Okay.
He x-rayed him and saw some hip dysplasia, but like nothing to write home about. You know, he's like, maybe get us another opinion. Mm-hmm. Well, we got home, got my vet at home that I trust a lot, and he gave him another x-ray, a little more like the pen hip. And he was like, still like, I don't know, Jeremy, like he's got it, but he's not bad. And I see arthritis. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, Cornell is only 2.5-3 hours away from me. I'm just going to see if I can get an appointment in their orthopedic department. So a few months later, it's tough to get in there, actually.
Not bad. So
it took a little bit of time, and we got in there like right in the end of spring, summer. And, man, they did almost everything you could think of. And I'm appreciative of those vets. They honestly told me the truth, and it's basically a big giant wormhole. They couldn't figure out I might word it wrong, but his clinical signs don't show his actual lameness.
Right.
So his x-rays aren't showing that this dog needs a new hip, basically, in like layman's terms. So we got him up on some drugs and trying some different things. And unfortunately, I left Cornell with not really a great answer, without spending thousands and tens of thousands on him, which unfortunately I don't have, So I ended up fostering another puppy, or a male that I met in Arkansas, and it just ended up really working out this deer season that great. I put a lot of miles behind him, did some artificial stuff in the off season, and unfortunately I think his issue with what we do is he never got the foundation work. And what I was noticing in those tracks where guys were calling me like 24 plus hours later, even I would say 8 hours later, he just would pick up a live track instead, at least from what I was noticing. And I think he didn't have that stick with it, because when we're training them dogs, especially how I was doing with Bert, like 48 hours later, I was making sure it wasn't easy anymore in training. And as a puppy, once blow through those steps a little bit quick. And I think he just got ignored and was put up on every single deer possible and missed the artificial track stuff. But it's kind of hard to explain on the show without seeing it. But
no, I get it. But that eliminates you from that test, right?
Yeah. So going back,
yeah.
So in Germany, and this test is called the VP. I would totally blotch the German pronunciation, but in Germany, your dog has to pass this preliminary test to be able to be hunted. Mm-hmm. So, and bred.
Right.
So he got what's called a medical exemption. For the parts of the test that he was able to test, he passed with flying colors. But for the actual track part, we were medically exempt. And basically now he won't be able to be bred, and he's taken out of the gene pool,
But is that something that if you follow his bloodline, which I'm sure because the way they structure things, is this something that they have seen through his genetics?
So I did the German judges that were there were awesome and very obviously knowledgeable. And how I was basically explained is, it's before my time, maybe a little bit during Uncle Bob's time, but hip dysplasia, they were able to pretty much get out of the gene pool pretty well. Well, I'm saying hip dysplasia, but Bert has something else going on.
Yeah, I think doesn't he have more like because he has arthritis in all his joints? It's
he's got some sort of
something.
But to kind of go back to what the East Germans, or the West Germany, I should say, sorry. When the wall went up, the Eastern Europeans kind of faded off in their breeding rigidness.
Right.
So Bert is from Slovakia, which is on the east side of the wall. So his bloodlines and his grandfather and whatever that could possibly have been they are from that generation. So in their opinion, they think that even though he does when we looked at his pedigree, he does have some German blood too. Something happened probably from that pre-war or pre-Cold War time period, and it's kind of prone in an Eastern European dog because they're still kind of cleaning that up from back then.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy that you can track it back that far?
Yeah.
And like I said, I deal a lot with the Dutch guys. Y'all have heard me talk about it on here, and those cats are sharp. They know. You can ask them a question about a certain dog, and they'll tell you 5 dogs before that. Oh, he bleeds his eyes because his grandmother on his dad's side did this.
And they're the same way with horses.
Yeah, they know. They know. Every little trait, a dog does something quirky, they know where it comes from. And, I mean, we should be like that with our dogs.
We should.
We really should. But the way dogs are bred now, and you can't keep up with, what everybody's doing. And then on top of that, if you don't get registered dogs, and I'm not saying it, maybe you do get registered dogs, but, you really don't know. There's no standard. We've talked about there's no standard. And, I've got a dog it's a super nice dog, and super nice young dog, and he's got that quirk about the pen. And, I'm wondering if I should not breed him because of that. I don't want that to come out in the next generation, the next generation, next generation. And I've thought, well, I've got a nice female that's nice and calm.
It don't work, though.
I know. That's what I'm thinking.
Genetic drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I breed her.
I've done
and
that too many times.
It won't show up, and it'll all be that way. They'll all be like him. And then I have to get rid of them because I can't stand it.
Pensatorial traits.
Yeah.
Yeah. A nightmare.
So what are you going to do? Where are you at? Are you going to get another one, or?
Yeah, so it's kind of, I'm planning on going back I'm going to go to Slovakia actually this spring, and we might look at some dogs, and kind of this time I'm really going to consult with the Germans and my new friends really, and kind of see if that's something worth coming home with me. If not, I'm going to wait until the Germans find me a pup to bring home. That'll be then like a club dog. But I'm hopeful. I'm going to spend a little bit of time. I'm going to hunt in Europe again. And I'm just going to try to have a good time and hopefully get my eyes on some dogs too. And maybe one will be coming home with me in the spring.
Now, when you say club dog, do you mean that way you can have it in the club, or it belongs to the club and you're the the foster.
And no, the papers would be in my name.
Okay.
I could make sure with Ken, but I'm pretty sure that if I got a club dog, I would be the owner. He would just be from
that club.
Yeah,
I understand. Okay, yeah. So he'd be your dog. You'd just still be operating under the club.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So like how Bert was and how I got accepted is because he was part of the Slovakian Federation, like their club.
Right.
So his paperwork jives with the Germans basically. So he would have been like a outside, like a different gene pool kind of, which they were hoping to have, and that's why they really. I mean, felt a little pressure going to that test a little bit in a way because I knew they're trying to get more U.S. bred dogs within the club. Mm-hmm. They don't want to. They'll import if they need it, but they want to try to get us going with our club members too. So, and unfortunately, that's life owning hounds, and I beat myself up pretty bad over it. Nope. But
only happens to the best ones. It never happens to the lessers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's shown. I mean, it's one of we've talked about it in the woods this week. Like, you know, is Bert that dog that I'm always gonna try to catch up to? Mm-hmm. You know, and I gotta also get that out of my head of there's never gonna be another Bert, but there's gonna be good dogs in my life, mm-hmm. and there's going to be certain things that the next dog does that I like. Even that dog I fostered, there were certain things I liked about him over Bert. He seemed a little more cool and collected. It was just...
Too cool and collected.
Yeah, he was a little too cool and collected.
Do you think that somebody was turning him on live deer, like doing the training wrong, and that's why he wanted to switch over?
I think there's got to be a certain point of... In my head, there's got to be a certain point of that dog has got to drive through his problems, and he's got to realize, man, it's getting really cold, or something's going on. Like, quit. You know, I saw that foster dog quit, basically, and I think that was from him just always, you know. Hey, Heath, if you shoot a buck this year, no matter what, I'm going to come. Mm-hmm. Hey, Uncle Bob, you shoot a buck, I'm going to come no matter what. And you put him right through the double lungs and he runs 60 yards and he's dead, and that's all you ever see in your life. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? You know?
Right.
And not when some guy shoots it in the brisket and it goes 3 miles and 500 other deer have gone across, and you know you still have a dog chasing it after 3 miles. You know.
Yeah. When you said it, I was going to say something while you did, but you talked about that foundation. That's how important it is. Like, we talk about it. Like Jarrett Moss and I just had a podcast about it. Like, little things go a long ways, and it's to me, there's no rush in dog training for me. With the police side of it, I got to get that dog up and running, but I still have time. Like if I'm doing a dope dog, I can do whatever I need to do in about 3 months, and I usually take 6 because I'm not, I don't want to skip the process. And then if you're looking at tracking dogs or apprehension dogs, it's a little different because the obedience has to be on the apprehension dogs. And I just don't get in a rush. And if I need to work through a problem, like I just take the time and I do those baby steps, just a little bit at a time, and then once the dog can put all those little baby steps together, he's through it and made it. So I'm with you.
And like you just said too, like these genetics, they're super genetics. Mm-hmm. They're rock star dogs. The siblings of the dog I fostered are all amazing tracking dogs. The parents are amazing tracking dogs. And you see how quickly someone that doesn't take the time completely ruin a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that maybe he wasn't going to be any, to that caliber of his siblings, but all the genetics were there. They don't mess around when they breed a dog like that.
It doesn't always matter. I mean,
No, sometimes they just don't line up, do they?
sometimes they just.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. I hope he works out, and we'll follow up on that. Like I said, I hope I'm up this summer, next summer, and
Bring them young dogs.
I'm in puppies. the 4 heathens that I have running around in the yard.
Keep them running.
I hope. I really like. I mean, I've got Sassy going. I need to keep her from getting hurt and keep her on the right track. And then I've got Lady and AJ, and then I have the 4 puppies. So I have 6. Wait, 4. That's 7. I've got 7 dogs under a year old. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do it because I know as a trainer that 2's too many. You can't put enough time into one.
That's right.
But, man, those pups
You
are...
have to quit your job.
I'm working on it, Bob. I'm working on it. I'm like 4 years, 7 months, and some change right there.
Yeah, he'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, well, I hope. I don't know how much longer my body can handle it, like after today. Let's go over the last couple days. You guys come down and, like I said, Bob, you can take these bear with you that want to stay on the ground. Like we've treed bear every bear that we've run this year and caught. We've treated them, no problems. Now we've had a couple that's bounced, come out, go back up, come out and go back up. But then Tuesday, we
that was a bugger.
golly, geez, man, we
He had no sense of humor.
no, he did not. We found an old track in the snow. It had ice in it, and we put 3 dogs down. Wesley put one of his dogs down, Forrest, and then I put mine. And I'll say that Wesley and Forrest has done the majority of the work. Spook stayed with them, and of course, he shines when it gets ready to get up. So they worked that thing. I don't know how long it was.
They hit a lot of feeding air. You could
Yes,
see
they
it.
did.
Yeah,
Yes, they
There
did.
was
he was circling.
He was in there for a while in that hole.
Yeah. They made several loops in there, and one dog would lose, and you could see the other one, and then you'd see the dogs pull the one that was picking it up. And
Remind me of lion hunting on dry ground.
yeah,
It was cool to see on the GPS, And
yeah. So we, anyway, they brought that thing out of several feeding areas and come up a hollow right close to where we was at, and probably jumped it within 200, 300 yards of us. And when I heard Spook coming up a holler, I put Kate and Trip to him, and I think Forrest put a couple dogs, and I think Wesley. And they called it about a couple hundred yards up the mountain and made a big loop in there with it, just walking it, and it went back down. And
He didn't like that, did he?
I crossed down, and Hot Rod got in there and put some of his dogs on it. And, that thing was splitting dogs to chase people. Like he was that ornery. Like
He's coming.
Hot Rod gets a little excited. So I'll tell you a funny one on this one. So Bugs has got Bob's dogs. Bob's with me, and him and Wes went in there, and Hot Rod starts yelling on the radio, "He's trying to get me! He's trying to get me!" So Bugs wouldn't turn the dogs loose because he thought the bear was eating Hot Rod because he was so excited. But that's just the way he is, man. He sees a bear, he can't. Like, he's screaming like a little girl. Like, that's just the way he is. But the bear did. I mean, we got video of it.
Yeah, he meant that.
Like, he's charging him. Yeah. I mean, he was splitting dog. He wasn't even cared about the dogs. He just come right at him. And then I think when y'all got in there, he did the same thing with Wes.
Yeah.
So
he's a good one to get out of the gene pool.
Yes, we took him. Man, he's a nice, over almost 250-pound boar. Nice bear. And
that was something that was coming from what I'm used to hunting to my first time hunting Virginia. Is I'm used to, if it's not working out that great and we have a dog with us, walking it in and trying to help out, because in our neck of the woods, when that splits up, it's an all-day affair, and I didn't want to lose a dog and then come into a bay and not have another dog to send in there.
Yeah, there was enough dogs going
There,
around.
and
So you should have took him in, or whichever it was. You had Smoke.
and Moses.
You had both of them.
Yeah.
You should have took him in and tied him to Hot Rod and said, "Hot Rod, you're safe now."
Yeah. But now I,
Well, live
just
and learn.
live and learn. Now
Don't worry
I
about it.
something.
Yeah, I mean, in
different.
the area that we hunt, the areas that we hunt, like especially there, I mean, turn them loose. Like they're either in or out, but they're safe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we're
as long
not.
as there's no roads, that's
Yeah.
all I
See, we'd have no access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, so we had a good, good day, and what was y'all's? I mean, Bugs, I know that was your first time down here. Bob, what was your take on all that mess?
Well, that's different for me because I'm hunting 1 or 2 dogs all the while, but it was fun. It's different. Dogs, like we said on the first podcast, these young dogs need to learn all different kinds of environments. You know what I mean? They need to go in with a lot more dogs, and you could tell that he was dumbfounded when he was in there today at the tree. He was just standing around looking at everybody like, "What is this?" But that's part of growth.
Yeah.
And maybe it works, maybe it don't. I don't know. We'll see when he gets a little older.
So I think we had 14 in there yet Tuesday.
15.
15.
15.
Yeah, so 15. I had 3, and Forrest had 3.
And what was there today?
Well, I don't know. Let's go to Wednesday first, and then we'll talk today. So yesterday I'm telling you, like the snow's still on the north slopes. The south slopes are pretty. It's pretty gone, pretty melted. You can't really see tracks in the south side. Most of it's barren. We found a bunch of tracks yesterday, and after we fiddle-farted around with them till lunchtime, we realized they were all making circles, crossing the roads, going underneath the road, and then walking underneath the road, and then crossing the road, and going above the road. And so, yeah, we literally wasted the day.
They're all looking places to hold up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett was able, he slipped off and he ended up getting a nice sow bear treed. And then, that was that yesterday. And then today, we changed it up a little bit.
That was fun.
Yeah,
That's what it's like. That's what I'm used to.
Yeah, so we left the trucks this morning right after daylight and just busted the brush. We found several tracks. Of course, they were froze. They were 2 days old.
Yeah.
We walked a good piece, and we got down in some country that I really like to be in. And I actually told Bob, I'm like, this is one of my favorite little spots through here. Like, this is where I like to be. And Spook and Kate just kind of disappeared, and I had my other 2 young dogs loose too, and they did not go. I don't know what happened there, but Spook and Kate, actually, we were watching them on the tracker. They went up the mountain and come back in behind us, paralleling the top of the mountain, and then they just kind of dropped right there on it, and they were only 700 yards from us, it was 641, and like I said, they weren't moving, and me and Bugs was talking, and I said, let's walk back up here and see if we can hear them, because I should hear them. They're on top of the mountain. We should hear them. And we walked back, and we're still not hearing them. We didn't cut no tracks back through there either, and I'm like, I don't know. And they stayed pop-up treed, and then they'd show, and I'm like, well, they're in a hole. They got to be in a hole. So we're like, let's just bust up there and see what's going on. And we got up there, and sure enough, I mean, we had to be within 150 yards of them to hear them.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
it took a while.
Well, because that also was on the other, on
other
the
side.
edge of that mountain, so it was more
On the other side. Yeah. So we had to get in there pretty close, and they was under a big rock bluff.
Yeah.
And we just to make sure, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm kind of funny. I still want to see it. Like, I want to know that they got a bear. Like, I want to know. And so we got to poking and prodding in the hole, and it stuck its head out, and me and Bob said, oh, it was a little sow bear. She had a real nice brown muzzle, and it's almost like she had eyelashes on. You could see. Yeah.
She was actually pretty.
Yeah. So anyway, it come out the other end of the hole about that time, and so we caught the dogs up and went on to hunting, and then we got into we was getting pretty close to coming out, and the dogs went down below us, and Spook struck, and I forgot we pulled him off that track early this morning. Yeah. the one track he was trying to take, and I actually called him because it was a small bear, and you could see it. The track, it was a smaller. I mean, it was small. I was like, hey, I'm not wasting my day with that. So we went hunting. Spooked it, went down there and struck, and Kate and Houdini and Hart was with him, and Spook opened another time or two, and I cut Trip in, and when Trip got there, he just started like, yeah, I mean, he was calking, and the other dogs opened up, and we packed. I had 5 dogs with me, and you packed your 2, and I mean, they got out of there, didn't they?
Like afterburners. I was like, how did they get that far that fast?
Yeah, because you asked me, you're like, and I'm like, wow, they're 3/4 of a mile from us. Like they gone.
It just opened and they were 3/4 of a mile. It seemed like.
Yeah. Anyway, they ended up running it over to Hunter and Greg, and crossed right in front of them. And man, they got some good video footage of it. And of course, Hunter's hollering on there, Heath, it's a good bear. Heath, it's a good bear. And I mean,
it was.
I mean, yeah, it was. Like we walked our butts off just to try to get in there, and it crossed another nasty area and crossed the creek and went up on the other side. And
what was it, Bugs? 12 miles.
Today we did 12.
Yeah.
You got 12. I got 10.5 and 123 flights of steps. So mine, like. So yeah,
we earned it today.
Yes, we did. Yeah, so we got in there, and so Taylor and Ariel are down hunting with us, and Taylor and Ariel had trailed a bear up into a hole too, and they were on the other side of the mountain, and this thing was coming right at them, and you talking about things working out, like it worked out perfect today because we was getting some dogs. He was getting rough. Like I said, I got a couple dogs with holes in them, and Taylor was able to just to slip right down on him and take him, and of course that bear was 323. Nice
Yeah.
bear. Yeah.
He's a nice guy, nice people.
Yeah. So, what was y'all's takes on today?
It was great. Like we could do that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little less walking.
I don't like getting in the truck. I like being in the woods.
Yeah, that's where things happen, right?
You got this beautiful mountain range. And
Yeah, Bob was like, what mountain is this? And I'm like, what do you mean? And I was telling him the mountain names. He goes, no, like what? And I was like, no, we're in the Appalachian. Bob, we're in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, it was all, all the camaraderie and everybody's helping one another. You don't see that a lot anymore, No one leaves until the job's done or the dogs are caught.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. We don't get to have that because we don't have enough people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like Garrett helping out with the dogs.
All Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, and that's
a
one
great
of the,
group of guys.
That's a blessing that we have a vet with us.
Yeah.
I mean, he stapled Forrest dog up right there on the tailgate and cleaned it out, shaved it. And he was asking today. He was like, "Hey, do y'all need me to come down there? How bad is it?" And they were doing their own. They had got away from us, and I don't think. I mean, I know Trip got bit down through the rear end. I don't think it's that bad. I'll go home and clean it up and see. But yeah, so. A little different.
A lot different.
It's a rodeo while you were here.
I like it. I'd rather hunt like this than ride the roads or.
Yeah.
I was saying to Uncle Bob and Forrest too a little bit. It's like the first 2 days when we were kind of just trying to cut tracks in the snow. Mm-hmm. It was almost like lion hunting in the truck all day. Yeah. Going spots, walking out spots.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Waiting
you can have it.
And then today was cool when we were walking out and free casting, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was cool.
Yeah, and I even so they went down there and struck, and Greg said, or Hunter said, well, do you want me to pack them? And I said, pack at your own risk. I was like, I don't know what they're running. Greg's like, yeah, don't tell me that. He's like, 99 out of 100 times they're on what they're supposed to be on, and I'm like, pack at your own risk. And then he literally run almost over top of them. So I don't know, and I was thinking about that while we were, taking care of the bear. If you can't have fun and pick and prod at each other, a little bit, don't get
nasty, rude.
But I mean, we're all the time. We're giving Greg down the road. He's had 2 bear run over top of him and never seen one. And we tell him we're gonna take him to get his cataracts fixed and get his glasses. Wesley's been all over him, and that's why he was telling him when he drunk. He's like, "That's what a bear looks like, Greg." And Greg was like, "Yeah, it about run over me. I seen that one." But that's what's fun about hunting is the camaraderie. You have a good bunch of guys. Like everybody brought dogs out, and then literally walked a little over a mile back up in there to help.
Right.
I mean, me and you were jacked before we sat in the truck, was drinking water. I was like, all right, Bob, I don't want to, but I guess we're going to have to.
Yeah.
And so we walked back up in there. So that little contraption we got's pretty nice.
I've never seen that. Like, I've heard them guys in Maine do that for moose, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
That makes life a whole lot different.
Yes, it does.
We'd still be in there.
Oh,
you'd have to skin it out.
Skin and quarter it. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's what we'd have had to do for sure. So, any last thoughts?
Yeah, we're going to buy a house down here now. We're going to move from Catskills down here.
All right.
We'll come
on.
We'll run in the summertime in the Catskills and come down here in the December.
That sounds good. You just come stay.
Because Forrest is just going to keep cooking us breakfast every morning.
I know.
He doesn't need to work anymore either. We'll run bears.
Yeah, I'm all about it. So you should buy you a place down here.
Yeah.
Just stay.
Yeah, get out of that in New York.
And then September, you could run. So we run in September, up usually it's the first day or two, couple days of October, and then December. So, yeah. So what's your plans? Are you gonna breed any of your dog? I know we talked about that.
Yeah, I'd like to breed that female and then just see what happens there, and then once that all settles, I'll know if I'm going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all young. They're like, it's not that they're young. They're 2-year-old. Old. The litter mates are 2, and the problem is New York only has 2 months, and it's hard, because you do have to work once in a while, and so it's hard to get them in the woods every single day, and especially you might get a week where it's 90 degrees and you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always a little bit behind, as far as time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that we talk about that. I mean, you and I talk about it because I'm trying to go to Canada this spring. Just get another week of hunting.
Another environment.
Yeah.
Not that you need it. Not that you guys need it, but like when I go to Maine, them dogs were really out of their element. Down here, it's the same, but up there, up in that Blackstone country, that's just. I mean, they were dogs who were missing hair and eyes were all bloodshot. You had to go clean all the stuff out of their eyeballs every night because that's just it's hard on them. I don't know how them dogs live at old age up there.
Well, I mean, it's just like when I go down to BB's and Doug's, like it's taken my dogs a while. I've been going in there for 2 years now, and it's taken my dogs a while to adjust. They do better now, but my first trip or two, it was kind of like they're out of their element, and the big bear on the ground, like you can't see. And I mean, I've got a couple that, man, they tuck tail and gone, and I don't like it. And 2 of those dogs were on that bear today, and they didn't leave. I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand. I do, but like if you can stay on a bear here that's rough, why can't you stay on a bear there that's not?
I think they can't maneuver them, and they're getting because like I noticed that when Sawyer got in there and got whooping, they get in there, and I don't even know if they smell them obviously, but you can't see me to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what happens is then when they turn, the dogs can't get away. Here they can get away a little bit. They got more room. Yeah. They can work a bear. You ain't working a bear and that stuff. Yeah. It's just you gotta be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a problem. Like I said, I've seen it with my young dogs. I've seen it, and I'm just gonna keep putting them in the woods and seeing what they can do. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm glad y'all came down and hunted. And like I said, hopefully in July I can get up and spend a couple of days. Me and Maddie will run up and
stretch them puppies' legs.
They're gonna need it. My gosh, man, they're after everything. If it moves, they barking at it and running at it. So, all right,
should be good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, we will. Yeah, we'll see y'all probably this summer.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
That's the plan.
All right, guys.
All right,
I've enjoyed it.
Me too.